I don't know, when he's talking about the frustration of it, something else I'm going to kind of jump into right now is with something that had started off as a slogan. When we're talking about, police brutality, the things that happen to us, how we feel.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, well, I don't know, is it really happening? And well, yeah, bro, I'm telling you it is. Like, this is what's going on.
Man, they did surveys back in the, back when there actually was segregation, and they asked white people back then, do they think black people are treated differently? And those surveys are the same surveys as far as the percentages of them being treated poorly, and they're saying no. So I just think that's ironic that that's the same idea, and we're supposed to be changing this narrative. But that's the problem. Everybody's changing it to fit their benefit. Yeah. And they're not talking about the real issue.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And that's crazy because that was in the 60s. And it's obvious to us looking at videos and seeing, the hoses and the dogs and everything that was happening to those people during the civil rights era that was wrong. But people were still saying, like, no, there was no mistreatment then.
Man, the patience it takes, man, to sit there and just take a fight. Those things hurt, man.
Fire
hoses ain't a joke.
Yeah, they're not at all.
It's like that Dave Chappelle skit that he did that he was talking about. He said, honey, did you see this? He said, apparently the police have been beating up Negroes like hotcakes. It's in the May issue.
It's in the May issue. Which one was that?
What was that? I think that was killing them softly. I think.
Okay,
the one he did in DC.
Yes.
So what's that segueing into? What are we segueing into?
Oh, so we're segueing into pretty much like this is like the twilight zone of conversations. I swear, because I literally am trying to get to a point when I'm telling people this, and they go, and they'll just turn it off. And it's whenever we talk about Black Lives Matter, right? Like the slogan, I'd always said, when I first heard it, I was like, okay, cool, Black Lives Matter, okay, I see
that makes sense.
With that. But then, this organization came up, which was founded by 3 women that, started the Black Lives movement. Yeah. And me myself, kind of knowing, and I'm not against the NAACP, but I understand, I have my own beliefs on why that was started, especially it wasn't started by black people.
Yeah.
But I believe that the organization Black Lives Matter, I don't really agree with some of the things that they do.
Yeah.
Some of the things that they kind of go with. I'm kind of like, whoa, where did that come from? Because the slogan and that are 2 different things.
Absolutely, yeah.
So then I always get, I have certain friends that still love to joke with me and be like, nope, all lives matter. All lives matter. Or they'll just say, frogs lives matter. Or birds lives matter. Or just but they're trying to just get that little...
The one that gets me...
They're trying to win.
Gets me the blue lives matter.
They're trying to win. That gets me. And the problem is here...
Wait, do you say blue lives matter?
Blue lives matter.
It's not about police.
Yeah, that's not a race.
But that's what I'm saying. But basically, the sheriff out of Clark County made that. Basically, he was one of the sheriffs in
Clark?
in Chicago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up quitting that job.
Did he for real?
Yeah, he quit. He resigned because he thought that he was going to get a position in the White House with Homeland Security under the Trump organization because he was speaking, and he didn't get it.
Oh, man.
But yeah, he put that out there. He made that speech. He said, "Blue Lives Matter."
It's basically about how recently, within, I guess you could say, like the past 5 years, there has been a rising number of cops that have been killed on duty by people just going out and being angry at the police, and they're saying that their lives matter too, and that's when it all bundles down to people saying all lives matter, which I get. People can say that saying all lives matter is a protest to the Black Lives Matter protest, but me personally, I don't agree with a lot of the things Black Lives Matter fights for, with the things that they say. I'm that person that says all lives matter. I'm the person. I'm the kind of person that will ask people. I am still trying to find the people that say Black lives don't matter.
Yeah.
I'm that person saying, where are those people? Because those are the people that are scum of the earth.
Well, if I can cut you off real quick, it's not... this is the thing, and it goes back to the perversion of victory, who wants to win the fight. Because nobody here is denying the fact that, an Asian man's life matters less than, this or that person, It all matters, and the whole idea of Black Lives Matter is to bring attention to, the problems going on in the black community. And the problem is... But the problem is polarization. And it's the whole wanting to win. Like I said before, Black Lives Matter, like you said, Tony, they got certain ideas and beliefs and slogans they go by, but then they go out and behave a different way, and you're kind of like, what's going on here,
Right.
And it keeps moving farther in one direction, and then you got some people that say all lives matter, and of course you get the message what's going on, but the counter argument is you're missing the whole point of saying Black Lives Matter. But it's so polarized now where people have knee-jerk reactions, you know? They hear Blue Lives Matter and then you kind of, what the hell?
Well, that's social media.
Matter. Yeah, and it's so easy to just be so soulless.
Keyboard warrior.
Yeah, absolutely,
basically.
you know? Mm-hmm. And on the internet, it's so much harder. It's so much easier to just ignore someone, you know, personally. Because there are people online too, but you're just ignoring them. You're just typing words online. It's just ideas floating around. And it's not people anymore that are talking. It's ideas that are just flowing through people on the internet.
And then it's feeding into their own subconscious and then they're spitting out. I look at it, you know, you mentioned it, you know, because I'm interested in hear more your perspective on, because you say all lives matter. Mm-hmm. My question to you would be, did you ever say all lives matter before Black Lives Matter?
Did you ever say all
did you or anybody that you know say all lives matter before Black Lives Matter?
I was that person, yeah.
I've never heard that.
I said, well, before Black Lives Matter became an actual thing, I didn't really know about it until a couple years ago when it really started blowing up. Mm-hmm. And as I started doing research and into it and whatnot, I made established the idea that it's all lives matter.
No, but that's why I asked you. I said before. So before Black Lives Matter was a slogan, before it was an organization, before anything that you heard about Black Lives Matter, was there any hashtags? Was there any social media posts about all lives matter? And that's the point. Because to me, and I'm not saying just you personally, but I mean you the one who said you made this stance. Saying all lives matter is basically trying to smother Black Lives Matter. Because I look at it like this:
it's a protest to Black Lives Matter,
right? But there's a difference between. But that's the difference, though. There's a difference between protesting the organization and protesting the concept. Mm. The issue is with Black Lives Matter, it's basically like this. I'll give you an example. I'm in my house. My house is on fire. I go outside and I say, hey, call the fire department. My house is on fire. My neighbor comes out and says, oh, your house is on fire. Yeah, my house is on fire. Well, all houses matter. Yeah, but mine's on fire, though. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but all houses matter. You shouldn't, but mine is on fire. I needed to get put out. That's the concept. Mm-hmm. We can talk about the organization, which is funded by George Soros, and we can get in all of that. Mm-hmm. Who's an Hungarian investor? We can get into all that. Yeah. But I'm talking about the concept.
The concept itself. I understand the concept completely, right. But it's the way the organization takes their steps into sending that message out is what I disagree with. I get the concept completely, and I agree with it. Police brutality, one person dies, that's one too many. There shouldn't be any incidences of police brutality. There's no denying that. But, and like I said, I get the concept. But the way that the organization and the people in the organization take the steps to accomplish their goals or whatever their subjective is, I disagree with.
Well, we can all agree that the concept is that there's the black community, you know, it's got some issues, and there's some issues that you can't dig out of yourself. You can't pull your bootstrap out of everything.
You need people to pay attention. You need a mass majority to focus on that issue.
And that's the thing. You know, like LGBT had their thing going on for the last like decade and a half, and that's pretty much said and done. They've gone along now. You know, right. And then there was civil rights, and that's going on. But there's still social problems in the black community. And what he's saying, and absolutely correct, and I agree with him on that, is that it's the idea that the house is on fire. The black house is on fire.
Yeah, and people are trying to warp it to where
because that is to me that's exactly what it ends up coming out. Because the argument that you're making is you're saying that the protests of all lives matter, that hashtag, that social media post, that stance. Mm-hmm. is to take a shot at the organization, but what I feel like a lot of people are failing to see in that though is that what you're saying, because you have to understand we're acting as people and as human beings on social media. So when I put up a post Black Lives Matter, and especially me coming from a person, I'm not supporting an organization.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm supporting the concept of Black Lives Matter based on social justice, and I'm not even talking about the murders of unarmed black men and women. Yeah. I'm talking about because that's the stat that a lot of people always bring up, and they say, well, that happens about the same as whites. It's a little bit higher than everybody else, but they said it's around the same.
Actually, it's.
But
if you want to bring the police,
but it's not about. I'm not talking. But let me finish my point. Okay. It's not about the deaths. No. It's about the violent interactions, and nobody wants to talk about that percentage. Yeah. That percentage is overwhelming for blacks. is the violent interaction. So that basically not everything has to end to death. That's just what ends up being broadcast on TV, because that's the bigger issue. A white cop or whatever shooting a black guy or a black woman or something like that, where the person's life ends up being lost. That's what gets coverage. What doesn't get coverage is the violent interactions that people deal with, that these situations that we just described didn't make headlines. They didn't make the TV
screen.
But
we all know it, because we make jokes about it. Chappelle makes jokes about it. Because we all know it.
But I think that was, even with those jokes, I think what that does is it still creates a narrative that it's just jokes.
Yeah, but it's reality. People, it's situations, and it's situations like that will lead to the statistic. If that situation never happened to begin with, it wouldn't escalate, Exactly. But we can all agree here with the point we're getting across is, the Black Lives Matter idea and the concept is absolutely what people should get behind. But individualistic ideas in situations where it gets violent, like you were talking about, Tony, where like Black Lives Matter, of course, yes, I want to help the community. There's problems going on, and we should pitch in and try to figure it out and help it, kind of socially lead together to kind of make it, even. That's what you want to do, because it's down to each person's individual way they carry themselves, what they do and don't joke about, and kind of like how you treat each other. Chappelle made a joke about it because he knows deep down it's true. But just because a certain handful of people may take it a certain way, and behave out of line, doesn't mean that the concept itself is a bad idea. But you should definitely disavow those people. Absolutely. The ones that take it too far will burn a car, some random person's car. Like, what's going on with that?
Well, I look at it and I could counter that, and I could say this then. Then why didn't the plantation owner that doesn't kill his slaves say something to the one that does?
One more time, sir.
So when you look at when you said that isolate the ones who are acting out of touch or out of line or misrepresenting or staining the concept of Black Lives Matter based on the organization, and you're saying that the organization isn't doing a great job of denouncing those people.
Oh no, that's not the case. I'm just saying that we shouldn't judge the organization because somebody steps out of line under the organization's name.
Correct.
Because the organization isn't.
That's I think that's a different issue because we're dealing with that hashtag. And I'm saying hashtag because that's what people are posting.
Absolutely.
So every person who puts hashtag Black Lives Matter isn't a member or a worker of the organization. And they're probably stating how they feel, like, hey, Black Lives Matter based on whatever incident just occurred. So,
but everyone likes to line you up with a team, So as soon as you say that, it's like, oh, obviously you're with them now and you're representing them, and whatever you do is going to directly reflect Black Lives Matter. It's not the case.
But my question would be, especially for someone who puts in, like you mentioned yourself, not yourself, but gentleman here to the left. What was your name? Jake. My bad. Jake. That the hashtag All Lives Matter, or that's a protest to Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. So you're saying that's a protest to the organization?
Not the concept.
But but my question would be, what effect of detriment do you think that has on the concept and the people who actually feel that their lives don't matter, and not only don't feel it, see it as a reality that their lives don't matter, and the ones who look like them? Mm-hmm. Do you take into account how that may look, even though you're protesting in an organization, but the person, James that's just looking on the internet is not seeing that you're protesting the organization. They're seeing, and I'm not speaking to you specifically, I'm talking about anyone who puts All Lives Matter. You are literally, in maybe whether you're directly or indirectly trying to accomplish that, you are basically smothering their idea and what they feel and what they see happening to their friends, themselves, their family members on an everyday basis. And I think we need to have a much bigger moral compass on that, whether, like I said, we all against the establishment. I'm against the establishment. Yeah. But I think sometimes that moral compass needs to be looked at a little bit more in a grander scale.
Yeah. But like what I'm getting is that, when someone says he uses the All Lives Matter thing, it's not necessarily like, you don't mean it as like, oh, Black lives don't matter, but like the people that are acting out is kind of like.
See, that's the whole Twilight Zone of it. That's funny.
That's weird, right? It's so strange.
That's the weird part where it just. everything.
This guy's anti-establishment. You get he's a libertarian too. He's as anti-establishment as you can get.
I think we all are, and it's funny. It's like,
taxation.
For instance, to give like a good example, I'll be on the game, and I'm not even in this conversation, but like I'll be on the game, and we'll be hunting this monster. I'm playing Monster Hunt right now. It's awesome, and there's just like, this black dragon going around, where this like Diablo's thing, and we're killing it, and then this guy's just joking around. He's like, Black Lives Matter, don't kill it, and all of a sudden somebody gets serious, and they're like, bro, shut up with that. All lives matter. And I'm like, I get that it's joking, but now, wait, what did you just say, bro? Now you're on something else. Because wait a second. You weren't attacking an organization. I know he wasn't, because he just said all lives matter. Yeah. Now he's saying something completely different. Now it's getting exactly. Now he's countering the idea. Yeah. I mean, that's a good example, of what I mean by that. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's the weird twilight zone of it, where everyone gets disconnected from what the point is.
There's the organization, there's the people that fly under the flag.
Right.
And you may mean to cross against another, but it's blurred in between, and people don't really think about it, Mm-hmm. Like you said, the All Lives Matter may not be meant to smother the idea that Black lives do matter, but someone will absolutely perceive it that way, because they'll just hear that line, and they won't know really the context or what they truly mean behind those words, Because when you talk to somebody, there's two different conversations. There's the initial conversation you're having mouth to mouth, and there's the subconscious ideas going on in your heads. Because you're conveying words, but the ideas aren't the words. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you may say, all lives matter as a protest to the Black Lives Matter idea. But what do you mean by that? He doesn't know exactly what you mean by that. He's going to take it as something else. And that's the disconnect.
And then you got to look at it like this, especially. And then you
got this problem.
And then you talk, because you mentioned that. You talked about association.
Exactly.
And people who associate with, who put a hashtag up, Black Lives Matter, in their association with the Black Lives Matter movement and organization. But then when I see someone hashtagging, and then I could turn around and clump you into the same light. When you put in All Lives Matter, your idea, what you're thinking, what you're claiming that you're putting in your heart on social media, or what you say in speech, is against the organization. But yet when I see other social media posts and it says All Lives Matter, and they got Confederate flags all in the background and on their truck. Mm-hmm. So now I associate you with them.
And now it's a big jumbly mess.
It's just associate. It's when you see something online, you have to talk to the person.
And that's the problem.
You have to talk to the person physically, and you can get the entire idea of what they're trying to say right across. Because seeing something online, you're gonna get your brain's gonna go crazy. You're gonna see things. You're gonna associate with things that you've learned throughout your life, and you're not gonna get a clear picture of what that person is thinking.
Yeah.
You have to physically talk to that.
I got a pretty clear idea if they got a Confederate flag in the background. I don't need to ask them no questions.
I would. There's an argument behind that as well.
Yes,
you can say the southern part.
But just sitting here and talking to you guys, and when people say, step into my shoes, I step into your shoes, because I got black friends. I'm not like I'm not racist. I got black friends. I'm Latino, whatever. But we never really sit down and talk about. I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that. But what I'm trying to get at is, like, I never really sit with my friend and, like, what goes on with you, man? Like, what's going on? Because no one ever does that. They just hear, you're just an American citizen. But there's things that separate us, like color. Not necessarily in a positive way, because we're all diverse and yada yada. And like I said, I have friends, but I never sit down and say, hey man, like, I've been hearing all about the stuff. Let me know, like, what's going on. How do you feel? Like, how do you feel being African American, being black? How do you feel? What's going on here? Give me your perspective. And no one ever asks for perspective anymore.
Yeah, but when the rubber meets the road and it really gets tough, and the police, the authorities involved, I'm no longer an American anymore.
Yeah,
I'm a black criminal, and that's the idea. And I think that it's that idea.
Yeah.
But see,
and then you got to start protesting that.
But saying stuff like that, like, if as soon as a cop's involved and whatnot, and you're saying, I'm just a black man, I gotta make myself look like the most innocent person ever. When you put yourself in that mindset, you're gonna give off a vibe.
Well, because you're gonna get hit by the situation either way.
If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear, you shouldn't have to worry at all.
Well, neither did he, though.
But the reaction.
But the reaction is different because you know what goes on, and no matter how how much you comply,
it can still
your life is basically dependent upon the temperament of that particular police officer that's in front of you. And my life should not be in the balance based on that cop's temperament, whether he just found out that his wife just was fucking around with his partner.
Yeah.
That's not my problem.
Let's just say, for instance, in my situation where he had pulled out the gun and had it right there, me being black, and I'd done this, I'm about to do something right now, and that thing is to go, hey man, what's your problem? Let's just say I would have done that, which is not that does not constitute for someone shooting me or even
Yeah.
tasering me. But just being like, hey man, what's your problem? If I was a white dude, it would have been like, hey man, come on, just calm it down.
Yeah.
Versus being black, it might have been different.
Yeah.
It would have been a different
Yeah.
reaction.
And
I've
I think
seen that happen before. It's
and-
happened to me in my life.
Yeah,
so.
and like I was telling you, it's all about why does it lead up to that? Why did he have the gun in the first place? Why was that the situation?
I think media.
Well,
No, I'm not saying you guys. I'm just
it's
saying
the
like
subconscious. It's the subconscious guilt is to me is the root.
Yeah.
Now no one will ever admit that.
Yeah.
But to me, it's the subconscious guilt that they're feeling, and then it's also the stereotypes that have been basically compounded on top of that.
Yeah.
And that feeds the narrative that blacks are to be feared.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that they are criminals.
Yeah.
And that anyone who is not is an exception.
Yeah.
And I think that's the narrative that has to start getting erased.
You think media has like a part to play in that, like rap music videos or like I know this sounds completely stupid for anybody that plays video games, but you play Final Fantasy 7?
I haven't played Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
You play Final Fantasy 7, right?
Final Fantasy 7 was the best one.
Other than the gold Chocobobo, you always pick the black one, right? Because it's a little faster, it's a little stronger. It can go through the water and through the mountains. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
if you want to talk about that, look at the Power Rangers.
Black Power Ranger. Was he,
Well,
he was a good guy, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying like it's like associating things like the Yellow Ranger was an Asian woman, the Pink Ranger was a girl, the Red Ranger was a Native American, the White Ranger
Oh,
was
that
a
was
white
real?
dude.
Yeah, no, that was.
Oh no way!
You're talking about the original. The original one. They changed it. They changed it with the new one.
The black guy was the Black
Black
Ranger.
Ranger?
That went on for years.
That's
not
crazy.
Not until like Jungle Fury,
I
when they
actually didn't know
replaced the
that.
Native American with a white dude, and they were like,
Well, he became the leader Ranger. Yeah, and it was the white guy.
yeah, like
I'm looking at you, Rangers. Shame on you. But
that was actually it was like early, like it was like what early '90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When kids watch that, it's like stereotyping 101.
and it's
the Asian one is the yellow one.
Yeah, and it's the combination of disconnect between ideas and what you're saying, like with the whole smothering Black Lives Matter, and the whole what we're already like kind of fed idea, the jokes that we make, and kind of what's on TV, like the Chappelle things, because it's based on reality.